It's a pity when you think you found true love, but instead you let psychopaths into your life and they stick to you like gum, are a bad case of the chicken pops that show up without warning. This is a story about my traumatic experience with a girl that extended for at least 3 to 4 years. This was about a girl that I knew, let's call her Carrie. Carrie was a very smart and attractive young girl. She was 18 while I was 19. She seemed very independent and very caring of everyone around her. We just assumed that she was one of those girls who really didn't need a boyfriend since she gloated about it all the time. But somehow she got herself a boyfriend. Me. We found ourselves talking one day and we found so much in common with each other I fell in love with her that same day. She seemed so sweet and innocent, and I thought she had good intentions, like I did. I was wrong. A month and a half into our relationship, things began to go off the rails when she started noticing this one girl who would talk to me frequently. She began to ask me questions about her and who she was, and if we were seeing each other in secret. I kind of understood considering the girl was kind of flirting with me and I was kind of flirting back, but I assured her that there was nothing going on. She didn't buy it though and accused me of cheating. I tried to explain to her, but she wasn't having it. She stormed off into the next room cursing, frantically, even angrily. I got up and left and decided to just not tell her that I was leaving for home. She texted me hours later and asked me why did I leave, we still had more to talk about. And I just told her that nothing was going on and there's nothing for her to worry about. She texted me a bunch of crazy angry texts that I won't go too much into detail about. The next morning, I woke up and found that my phone was blasted with 36 text messages from her. Carrie had started apologizing at first in the text messages, but then she started saying things like, if you don't answer me, I'm going to find that girl and slit her throat. I'm going to find that girl or run her over. I'm going to find that girl and hope that our entire family burns in a fire as I light it ablaze. This girl was obviously mentally ill and I needed to cut her off immediately. I didn't think that I could have the courage to do it, but when I saw those texts, I knew that I needed to end this fast and not let it escalate into anything more intense. I confronted her the next day and told her that we needed to stop seeing each other and maybe we should see other people. Of course, she did not take this lightly and not take it very well and started ranting and screaming at me, saying a bunch of insane, crazy things that I can't even relay saying right now. She was critically crazy and needed some freaking help that I couldn't give her. She needed more help than I thought she did, because the things she said were truly insane, and something that shouldn't be coming from a girl's mouth, period. I walked away and went home and ignoring her pleas for me to come back. That same night, I received a knock on my window, followed by a second, the third knock. I began to realize someone was throwing rocks at my window, so I opened it and saw that it was Carrie. She was standing outside trying to get my attention, and I told her to go home, that we're not talking, and she said, please, can we please talk? We need to discuss some few things. I know that you're angry, but there are things that we do need to talk about the relationship, and I know that we can work through it. I said there is no more relationship and you need to just forget it and move on. She walked off and came back with a shovel saying, I've killed her. I stopped right there in my tracks. She said she killed her. I didn't need a name to know who she was talking about. I've already heard the threat from the night before, so I knew what she was saying. I said, Carrie, you didn't. She said, I did. And that she could show me. She took me to the backyard where she said she had buried the body. She dug it up and there was nothing there. And she started laughing at me saying, I got you. You truly thought that I had killed her. The look on your face, it is so hilarious. I forgot to mention that Carrie was a psychopathic liar and would constantly lie about things for no apparent reason. But she lied to me about killing the girl that I used to speak to as a good personal close friend, and I almost cried. I was so angry with her that I told her I never wanted to see her again and to stay away from me at school. She tried to apologize, but I wasn't hearing it. I was so filled with rage and stupidity and embarrassment that I just walked off into the night, back to my house. This would go on for at least a couple days, where she would frequently come to my house and throw rocks out my window trying to get my attention, but I would ignore her. It began to happen at school, where she would try to approach me, but I would walk off before she could say anything. I did my best to avoid her. I even changed classes just so I didn't have to see her. Because in class, she would try to turn to me and be my partner in a science project or any project in general. I did not want to speak to her nor talk to her. But things got way worse than I thought they could. Did you think that the threats were bad? You have heard nothing yet. She began to start doing things that were somewhat outside of the law, but not really, considering stalking is not really a crime. She would get to follow me around when I started talking to people, or just anywhere in general. She would follow me to the gas station, to the store, or to the library where I frequently would stay to read a book and to enjoy a peaceful, quiet time to myself. She would watch me constantly, and it was freaking me out. I asked the librarian to please ask her to leave, but the librarian said she couldn't really do anything considering she hasn't done nothing. I began to just start trying to ignore her, but she would approach me in the library from time to time, trying to get my attention and start up a conversation. I had no choice but to change libraries and not go back to that one again, considering that was the closest one to my house. I was angry with her. It began to go on and on, month after month. The same thing. Knocks at my windows, rocks tapping it, her trying to get my attention to get us back together. Finally, I reached my breaking point and went to the dean. To my surprisement, he listened. He told me that something has been going on with Carrie lately, that her grades have been dropping. I began to think maybe this is some sort of miracle from God. Then maybe this would be the reason why he would get her expelled and have her leave permanently. I was dead wrong. This only fueled her rage when she heard that she was being expelled for the lack of her improvement on her grades. She began to blame me and say it's all Ben's fault. He did this. This is his fault. He is a coward to admit that he still loves me. It was insane, the things that I was hearing. I was only in the next room over. That same night, she came to my house again, tapping on the window, but this time things began to get more insane. She had a knife. She had on this strange, funny-looking dress that looked torn up from the bottom, and she had her hair in somewhat of a bun, but a nappy bun. One half of her hair was still slitting down her side of her face, but the other half was in this messy bun. Her makeup had been smeared all over her cheeks, and it was completely just looked like something out of a horror movie. I didn't know what to say or what to do, but to go to my parents' rooms and ask my dad to get her off the property. My dad confronted her, and she tried to attack him, but he quickly subdued her. My dad is a police officer, by the way, and he is trained to do this oftenly. He quickly subdued her and had her arrested and taken back to the police station for questioning. She admitted right there that she was planning on killing my parents and kidnapping me. I was so surprised when my father told me this that I almost began to cry right then and there. I know what you're thinking. Would a big man like you, 19 years old, crying over an 18-year-old girl trying to kill you? But you do not understand the amount of fear. This has been going on for months, and it hasn't let up. And now that it's gotten more aggressive and more violent, I began to wonder what was next. What crazy things would she do if she was alone with me? I did not know. I was starting to panic and wanted to get out of that school. Even though she didn't go there, she would frequently just park there and watch me from the freaking court outside of the school. She would just sit there and videotape me and take pictures and use binoculars even. It was like living in a real Lifetime movie. This girl was completely warped in the head and did not understand boundaries when she saw it. She crossed all lines without regard and just completely floored me. But this torment was only in its early stages. This nightmare would continue on and on for a couple more years. It was only months that this has begun. And like I said, this has been going on for 2 or 3, 4 years. This is nothing compared to what comes next. I did not understand this girl's mind, nor did I understand what was the start of it. But later on in the future, I had saw Carrie again in the supermarket. She didn't notice me at first, but she looked different. Her face was sunken in, and she had bags under her eyes. She looked pale and almost skinny. The second she saw me, she flashed this glare at me. A glare that could put fear in the heart of a lion. She was completely still the same way. Nothing has changed after all these months I haven't seen her. 6 months have passed since the last time I saw her since she's been arrested. But now I'm seeing her again in the supermarket, and I realize that the nightmare has begun again. And I had to get myself out of there as quickly as possible. I made an excuse to my mom that I needed to just wait in the car because I did not want to be in there. It made me feel so frustrated that she was back. So I decided to go home and just lay down on my bed and start crying to myself. I know what you're thinking, baby, baby, baby. Completely crying to himself because of a girl, but you do not understand the amount of fear like I said before. This was only in its early stages, as I said, and this would continue to get even more dangerous and more violent than it had been before. Carrie had came to my house again and started up her old usual habits, tapping glass and knocking at the door all of a sudden. That was new. She didn't usually knock at the door. She knocked at the door and started screaming erratically. My dad asked if she was on something, and we thought that it was kind of humorous. Well, at least my mom and my dad and my sister, but I did not think it was humorous. I knew that it was a lot more deeper than that. I knew that she wasn't using. I just knew that she was insane. Her mind was warped and knew no boundaries. She wasn't afraid of crossing boundaries now. That's if she ever was before. She was screaming, and somehow she had this branch that was even bigger than herself, and somehow she was holding it up. But she was swinging it at the door, trying to break in. My dad knew right then and there that this wasn't a joke anymore, and he called some of his officer buddies to pick her up, and they did. The next day, she was on bail. Her parents have paid her $30,000 bail and let her go out. And I began to just wonder to myself, how is she getting away with this with no consequences? How does she keep getting away with this with all the threats that she has made and attempts to break into our house? It made me wonder because, well, she's a rich girl. Maybe she can get away with anything. Or the cops were just too incompetent or stupid to really realize how dangerous this girl really was. That made me even more afraid of her, that she was rich and she could get away with any crime she did without any consequences. The couple days have followed after that incident, and I've noticed nothing strange, nor have I seen Carrie anywhere, but I've noticed this weird, strange car. This weird pink car that comes around our neighborhood. Now, we live in a neighborhood where everyone knows everyone. In fact, the whole town knows everyone in there. There's no one who does not see a new neighbor and does not recognize them to be new. Every time someone moved in, it would be once, maybe 5 or 7 years. And as soon as this new person would move in, everyone, well, mostly people, would know about it. But no one knew anything about this pink car. In fact, no one noticed any new neighbors moving into any of the empty houses that are on sale. This pink car just completely appeared out of nowhere. Like it just somehow teleported from a different dimension. But I began to notice how this car would just appear at any place that I was at. The cars had tinted windows, so I couldn't see who the driver was. But I just knew deep in my gut that this car was following me, even though I tried to brush it off. It would appear at random at any time or place that I was at. I worked in a grocery store now, and at the same grocery store where I had saw Carrie a couple months ago. I worked there now as a cash register, and I would frequently see that same pink car just sitting there, but no one ever get out of it. It would sit there for hours on end, and it would only leave around the time that I would leave. I remember one day that I was at the cash register, and I noticed that same pink car again, but I noticed something else. I noticed someone else in a hoodie pacing back and forth in front of the windows. I couldn't see who it was, considering they had a mask on. FYI, this happened around the time of COVID, so everyone was wearing a mask. This person was completely wearing black, so I couldn't see who they were. They were hiding themselves very good. They were pacing back and forth constantly. I thought maybe they were just trying to go to the next store over, considering we had two stores connected to each other. But I noticed that for at least 30 minutes they did this over and over again. Pace at the windows, doing non-stop. I began to get paranoid and decided to call my shift. Someone happily took the shift as it did give extra pay. I left, and that person just turned around in my direction and just watched me go into my car. As soon as I started the car, the person ran into the pink car and got in. I began to realize that that person owns that pink car and is following me. It has to be. But then something clicked. Something that frightened me. I had called my sister a couple hours after the ordeal had happened and asked her, "What car does Carrie drive?" She said she wasn't sure. She hasn't seen Carrie in months. Carrie assumedly had left the state and went with her mother in California. We live in New York, so I just brushed it off and maybe thought maybe it was someone else. Until I decided to call Carrie's mother and ask her if Carrie was still there. She said Carrie moved back to New York a couple of months ago. I knew right then and there that Carrie was back and out for vengeance. Or maybe she was trying to live up to her word, like she said, kill my parents and kidnap me and do God knows what to me. I was truly in fear, and the anxiety and the pressure began to mount. I wonder what she was going to do next, what craziness she would do. But that is a time for another part of the story. I don't want to continue since this is getting too long, and want to make a little bit of suspense. To be honest with you, it gives me the chills writing this. It makes me wonder how things would have actually gone down if she did succeed in kidnapping me the day she said she was going to. But it's not like it hasn't happened. But it will get to that another time. My name is Ben. This is a continuation of my psycho-crazy story with my ex-girlfriend, Carrie. Like I said before in the last one, Carrie lived in California, in a different state. She came back to New York to wreak havoc on my life once again. Once I thought she was out of my life forever, she came back in a pink car with tinted windows, acting like a creep wearing all black. This was around the time of 2020, when COVID was around in its early stages. This story extends to 3 to 4 years, so buckle your seatbelts and prepare for a new ride of terror as I tell you the story of how things got much worse with Carrie. If you want to know all the events that happened before, make sure to watch the previous video. She was back. I felt it in my stomach. I knew that it was Carrie, no doubt, in my mind. I told my dad about it, and he said there's nothing that he can really do considering she hasn't done anything right now. But if she does, he will have her arrested and try to have her tried. This was beginning to be more terrifying. It made me in fear that my dad, a police officer, could not do anything to her, except to give her a simple warning, which I knew she would not listen to. This girl knew no boundaries and wasn't afraid to cross them anymore. But that's if she was afraid to cross them before. She continued this rampage for more and more weeks. She would follow me around every day. I would act like I didn't see her, but I did. I tried to ignore her, hoping that she would just let up and go away, but she kept doing it. Finally, I got so fed up with her that I couldn't take it anymore. And then I went outside into that parking lot to confront her face to face. As soon as she saw me walking towards her car, she drove off really fast, but she had the window down, and I saw her face. Confirmed, it was Carrie. She was back. She was back to follow me and, avoid me? It didn't make any sense, but I tried to just brush it off and try to ignore her again. But ignoring her is like telling her that I want to talk to her, that I want to have some sort of relationship with her, because she did not take no for an answer. The next day that I came in for work, my boss pulled me aside from the cash register and told me that a girl had came in earlier that day looking for me. He eventually had to get her out of the store because she started yelling because he did not know where I was and said that I wasn't in yet. She didn't believe him and pulled out a knife and started swinging it at him manically. I was seriously wondering how crazy was this girl to really go around attacking people. They called the cops and the cop arrested her. But this cop was my dad, and he did not inform me that Carrie had been arrested, nor let me know before I went to work, so why? I was seriously beginning to lose my crap. I couldn't seriously take it. The fact that she would bring that crap to my job, to my workplace, the only place where I feel safe in, was beginning to really take me off. I did not understand this girl's mind, the boundaries that she crossed, the way that she did things, the way that she always did things. It began to really infuriate me more than it scared me. I confronted my dad about it, and he said I did not want to upset you or make you worried about Carrie. I told him, well, FYI, she attacked my manager. My manager had said that I needed to take a few days off just in case if she came back trying to threaten my life, because he was seriously thinking that she was going to kill me if I was there. And I began to wonder, what if she was there to do so? I mean, I knew that she was crazy to say a bunch of insane stuff through text messages, but I didn't think she would actually proceed with it. Maybe she was just as crazy than we thought she was. A couple days later, I received a text from an unknown number. This text did not have any words, but it had just a picture. The picture was of me sitting in my bedroom on a second-story window in front of it. Someone clearly had taken a picture from outside of my window and was watching me, so I couldn't figure out what Carrie was up to. I knew Carrie was doing this just to irritate me, to put fear in me, but I wasn't going to give her that. I was so fed up with these games that I just decided to ignore her and block the number. But she made a new number and started calling me on it. She would call me every day, every week, every time that I did something. Our work, it was always calling me. And she did it 30 times a day. It didn't let up. She just kept going and going. Sometimes it would only be at least 5 seconds before she called again. It was beginning to be extremely annoying and irritating and somewhat scary. The fact that she came to my job swinging a knife let me know right then and there that this girl was for real. She is insane. She needs professional help that I could not give. There is something clearly wrong with this girl's mind, and I just wanted her out of my life permanently. She kept coming around the house and kept doing the same thing over and over. At some point, this went on for months, and I began to think maybe she was just all talk. But that was not the end of it. This is the part of the story where things get really freaking real. I was sleeping one night in my bed, and well, we live in New York. We don't have many storms, not like that. It doesn't always happen all the time, but we do get a little bit of rain from time to time. But it wasn't raining this night. In fact, it was completely quiet. When I was sleeping, I had woken up from a weird flash. A flash that came through my window, and then I could see it. I didn't turn around or dare move, but I did look to see if there was another flash, to see if it was possibly raining or stormy outside. And there was no rain, but the flash came again. And I realized it was not a lightning flash, but the flash of a camera. I've taken enough photos to know the flash of a camera when I see it, and it freaked me out. I immediately ran out of my bed to my parents' room and told them about it, and they just assumed maybe it was a storm, but I said I know the flash of a camera, and there's no storm today. Maybe there was, I don't know, I'm not sure, but I cannot tell you that that was not the flash of a camera. It had to be. I ain't taken enough photos to know, personally. I was scared. It was like living in a real horror movie. The flash of a camera was enough to make me paranoid of everything I did. I was always looking behind me, always looking around me, checking my surroundings, but I didn't see that pink car again. But I did see something that was more terrifying. I noticed that from the corner of my eye that there was someone following me, on foot. I knew that this was Carrie, and I decided to just ignore her. But ignoring her did not help. Everywhere I went, she was there. Every store, every gas station, every place I went to, every family member's place I went to, she was always there. I mean, you couldn't really see her from time to time, but I could feel her eyes trained on me from an unknown direction. I've never been so paranoid in my entire life. I couldn't even be around family and feel safe with her around. It began to really take a toll on my mental health, and I started to see a psychiatrist. My psychiatrist told me that these people like her feed off of attention, and she'll let up, but I told her that she has not let up. I've showed her no attention, but she keeps doing it. My psychiatrist just said she hasn't done anything, and she keeps following you. You have to ignore her. I know it's hard, but you have to do so. Wow, thanks for the help. I walked out and stormed out of there, knowing full well that that wouldn't help me none. None of this was going to help. She didn't care whether she got attention or not. She was going to do this regardless. This obsession she had with me was no freaking joke. It began to get more crazy and psychological when she started sending verbal messages to me. Verbal abuse over the phone, verbal text. It just began to get insane. She was playing with my freaking mind. I couldn't take it anymore. This girl had me paranoid at every bump, at every creak, every side of a face of an unknown car. I couldn't take it. It's beginning to mount too much. The pressure and the mental state of my mind was beginning to go off the rails. I was seriously starting to lose my mind. It was like being in a freaking psych ward, but living it in your own house in public, in society. It was crazy that the fact that the cops could not do anything to this girl, but she could do this to us, torment me. Remind you that weeks and months have passed. A year has passed into the second year of this torment, and like I said, 3 or 4 years this has been going on. Flash to 2021, this torment continued. More on and on, this verbal abuse. She would give me text messages through the phone, and even start to make lewd text messages to me. It was beginning to get crazily insane. This girl would say things like, "I hope that you're doing well. I can't wait to see you again tomorrow. You look so pretty and handsome in that lovely tuxedo." It began to freak me out because I wasn't even wearing a tuxedo at any time. I'm not the type of guy to wear fancy things. This girl was completely delusional. This girl even wrote text messages like, "I can't wait for us to get married, and I can't wait to bear your children for you, so we can live together in a happy life." This girl was seriously crazy, and I needed her out of my life immediately because I did not know how much I could take much more. The day my boss let me come back to work, I went into the driveway of our home to get into my car, but someone had skied my car. The car also had been spray painted with a light green and multiple other colors. Someone had skied my car, leaving marks all over the darn thing, busted out the windows, and when I opened the freaking door, you wanna know what I saw? 50 pounds of dog crap lying in the passenger seat and in the driver's seat. I literally had to scoop all of it up into my hand. I didn't have enough time to really get anything from the house, but I decided to just not go to work that day. My car was completely totaled, and I knew who did it. Carrie was beginning to get a little bit more crazier and more insane. I didn't know how much more she could do to me, not until I saw the car. That's when things started to get more violent. I received an email coming from the police. I didn't understand why they needed me to come in, but I did. When I walked in, I saw Carrie crying in her mother's arms, and her mother gave me this look of disgust and horror and complete hatred. I knew Carrie had done something stupid and crazy, and I had to mentally prepare myself for it. I walked into the questioning room, and the police questioned me and asked me, "What do you know about Carrie, and how long you two have known each other?" I said we have known each other for at least maybe a couple of years now, and that she's been constantly stalking me. The police gave me this funny look, as if I was just making this up. I told them that I've been making complaints for months, even a full-on year, to get this girl to leave me alone, but you guys have done nothing to do so. And you wanna know what this cop freaking tells me? No reports have been made about a Carrie Henderson in 6 months or even a year. How the heck? It's not even possible. How would they not have a record of her released in their records? I've made constant calls, even made visits, even done interviews, and I've even talked to the dean. The dean has even talked to them about Carrie. It's impossible for them to not have any records of us calling them. And it dawned on me. I forgot to mention that yes, my father is a police officer, but there is also a sheriff in this town. The sheriff is the father of Carrie Henderson. Mike Henderson is the freaking sheriff of this town and would do anything for his lovey-dovey little girl. I knew deep somewhere that he had gotten rid of the records. He wanted to keep this perfect image of his lovey-dovey daughter in this town and did not want anyone to know about her mental condition. But I knew. With no evidence, there was nothing that I could say. But it gets worse than that. The reason why Carrie had came in crying with her mother is because Carrie had claimed that I had assaulted her. I burst out laughing and told the cop that Carrie is known for being a sociopathic liar and that none of it ever happened. She's clearly insane and shouldn't really be trusted with her words. She's good at lying and manipulating, and you need to watch what she says. He told me that she had irrefutable evidence. And I said, what evidence? Apparently, Carrie had brought evidence to the police that I had assaulted her. She had scratches and bruises on her neck, and her arms, and her body. Apparently, she had a freaking bruise right on her area. I was completely floored. I couldn't believe it that the police brought into her crap. Just goes to show how stupid and ridiculously retarded our justice system really is. There is no justice but injustice. It completely floored me of how the cops took her word over mine, considering she's a rich girl and white, and I'm an African American black boy. Now, I know what you're thinking, it doesn't really have much with race, but in my mind it kinda did. It doesn't make sense how they kept taking her word and how she kept getting off with ease. It didn't make any sense how they completely disregarded my words over hers. She was obviously playing a sick game with the police and me, and she was getting away with it. The cop wanted to charge me right then and there, but my father, the police officer, stepped in and said that there is no way that I could have done this. That to give me a chance and see first before we act. He decided to take my father's word for it and give me a chance, but gave me a warning not to leave town or do anything suspicious, or I will be arrested. I agreed to these terms, and hopefully that they can find irrefutable evidence to get this girl out of my life and lock her up, possibly put her in a mental ward. I was so angry that the police were really taking this as I was the freaking criminal and she was the victim. But there is more to the story that hasn't ended yet. This is only the second year of this torment, and there will be more leading on in the next part of the story. I'll stop it right here for now to leave even more suspense. This girl gets even more psycho crazy than she did before in the next one. If anyone personally is going through the same experience, do not be afraid to tell someone about it and cut ties with the person that you're doing it with. You never know the crazy psycho people that are walking the streets, especially in today's era. Be safe and always be on the lookout for those crazies that are maybe lurking behind a certain pretty face. My name is Ben. This is the continuation of, the story of my crazy ex-girlfriend, Carrie. Carrie, I guess you already know by now that Carrie has done some insane crazy things. But to catch you up all on it, from the last time Carrie has, accused me of assaulting her. Not to mention I'm being watched by the police, and there is an investigation going on. Carrie's mother has threatened to sue me. Not to mention Carrie's father has been stalking me recently. He's been following my every move, watching me go from the grocery store and to my home and to many other places that I won't get into much detail about. It's starting to get far out of hand, if it wasn't before. It's almost starting to turn into a Netflix film. It's getting to the point where I can't even go anywhere without being watched. Somehow the word of, the assault, allegedly, got out to the entire town. I've been getting weird glares and looks, even occasionally, people coming up to me and asking me why did I do it. I tell them I didn't, but I could see it in their eyes that they don't believe me. It's insane of how one girl could change her entire life like this. I've never felt so angry yet so scared in my bones. What a flick of a wrist. She could just say anything and it can get out of hand just like that. There's no telling of what she'll do next. I'm afraid to even leave my house now. One day, I was jogging down the park trying to get some exercise in, and these two teen boys from a high school I used to go to attacked me. I tried to run, but they caught up to me and pummeled me to the ground. They're underage, and, well, I'm not. And they can just go to their parents and say that an adult guy had beat them up and took their money or something crazy like that. And that's not really something that I want on my plate, considering the other matter at hand. It's been 2 weeks since it happened. I've gotten crazy phone calls and all, text messages on my social media accounts. It's been non-stop. I've never been this hated before. It's like living in a literal, crazy, insane asylum. It's just been too much for me to handle. I'm barely getting through day by day without, being attacked or being social stalked or anything crazy. Cyberbullying is a real thing, and it's been going pretty popular on my social media accounts the most recently. It's been going crazy and more crazier, and the threats have gotten more insane. Not only do I have Carrie to worry about, but I have teenagers constantly on my accounts, constantly making the most crazy threats you've ever heard in your entire life. Threats like, I'm going to come to your house tonight, break in, and cover you in gasoline and set you on fire. Or even more crazier ones like, I'm going to come in your house, kidnap your sister, and maybe even do some, I won't get into that one. It's been getting too much. It's getting to the point where I even have to stay by my sister's side to make sure she's safe going to school. It's getting to the point where I can't even leave the house for even 5 minutes without someone recognizing me or seeing me trying to come up to me and ask me questions, or come up to me and tell me how disgusted they are. Carrie really went off with this one. This is her worst thing she's done yet. So far. I've never been hated like this. It's truly suffocating. But enough about the hate. What about Carrie? Carrie hasn't left her home for at least, since the whole incident had happened. I haven't seen her in 2 weeks, and hopefully it stayed that way, I hoped. But I knew that it wouldn't be. Carrie's mother, like I said, has threatened to sue me, and I've been taken to court. Of course, she got her money, and my father had to pay $2,000. It was terrible. I've never owe my father such money. He tells me that I don't owe him, but I do. This is my fault. I got us into this mess, and I want to get us out. I don't know what Carrie's going to do next, but I'm going to stop her. At least that's what I told myself. I never thought it could get so out of hand. How could one girl do this? How could one girl go off the rails so fast, but yet so slow? Too much has happened in such a short period of time, but long period of time. I tried to go to Carrie's house to confront her and get her to put an end to these lies and tell everyone the truth, but her mother and father are in the way. I can't even see her. At least one time, I went to her house and was walking back from the house after I got told off by her parents. She was looking through the window and gave me a smirk. She clearly was in delight of how I was failing to try to get her to understand how bad this is. She's taking pleasure in my suffering. This girl is completely crazy. I'm not suffering from a freaking serial killer or a crazy man with a hatchet or a hacksaw or just anything in general, but I'm dealing with a crazy girl with a broken mind. It's almost, hilarious. I wish I could change it, and I wish I could change how things were before. If I wish hard enough, maybe I could go back in time. But that won't happen. It can't happen. It's too late. The only thing I can do now is barrel forward and hope for the best. I won't let Carrie get the best of me. I won't let her destroy everything I've worked so hard to complete. I've lost so many friends. So many families look at me differently. Even my sister looks at me differently. She even has doubts in her mind that I could have done it. Assaulted Carrie. Carrie didn't even have any bruises. Well, at least that's what I thought at first. Apparently, she had bruises, scrape marks, and all. I just couldn't believe it. The absurdity of the situation was starting to really throw me over the edge. I had to restrain myself walking out of the police station from launching myself at her and really giving her bruises. But I couldn't risk it. I don't want to risk it. I couldn't allow myself to go down into that place. At least that's what I tried convincing myself of. You never know what you're really capable of until you're pushed over the edge. What you're willing to do to fix your life and fix things around you. But I can't bring myself to do it. I won't allow myself to do it. At the time, at least. I spent a couple more weeks in this hell. This hell that I created by being involved with Carrie. I wish I never met Carrie. I wish things were different. I wish that things would go back to normal. If she was dead, maybe it would. No, I can't do that. I wouldn't allow myself to. I couldn't let her get the best of me. But it's getting to the point where I can't take it anymore. Carrie truly is the definition of, well, a sociopath. I've never dealt with someone like her before, and I won't allow myself to keep being fooled by her any longer. A couple more weeks of the hell that I'm in, and I try to just not think about it too much and try to relax, but every time I try, someone or something always disturbs me. I've been recently receiving text messages from Carrie herself, making jokes out of the whole thing, taunting me, and constantly just, it drives me up a wall. I can't take it anymore. It's getting to the point where I can't stand it. It makes me wonder how far will she go to make me... No, it's okay. Just thinking about the whole thing just makes me want to cry. Angry, have a fit, commit a crime. But I won't allow myself. At least that's what I kept telling myself. We aren't there to the part where things go too left. I mean, things already left enough, but things didn't truly go downhill just yet. I'm not even close to giving in to it yet. Carrie has still been texting me crazy messages, telling me how I should just end it all, and, well, I'm almost considering it, but I won't let her win. As the days go on, I begin to get a little bit more bolder going outside, expecting what I know was coming. She usually always has someone following me still. Yes, she can't come outside considering her parents won't let her, so she has her friend follow me around. It's funny how she thinks I got no clue. I see her everywhere I go now. It just almost seems normal to have people follow me around. I almost tried to ignore it, but this friend of hers, I can't ignore, knowing she's associated with Carrie. She's just as disgusting as she is. I know it. What was I saying? Yes, Carrie has been sending her friend to stalk me. As usual, I see them every day, and I think they notice that I see them. I guess they don't really try to hide it. They just think this is everyday routine. Come out of the house, get followed around, and back to the house followed back, and they leave me alone. Same thing every day. I don't know how long it's been, honestly. I've been writing this for quite a while. I'm not sure what she'll do next, the craziness she'll do next. I still keep writing my thoughts and, well, the events playing out. This is my third writing in this journal I've created of my own. I wish sometimes that it would just all go away, blow away, never to be spoken of again. But it's happening. It's happening right now. The only thing I can do is just keep trying, is what I keep telling myself over and over. Keep trying, it'll get better. I know that's a total lie. A load of bull coming from my brain that still flies around in butterflies and pink rainbows. I still don't think that that'll be okay. It'll never be okay. A few months go by and, well, it's still the same. Carrie texting me. And so things did change one day. It got to the point where I couldn't really handle it anymore, so I decided to stumble my way from the bar and to Carrie's house. Side note, I started drinking. I needed something to take the pain away at least. Didn't really help considering everyone in the bar knew who I was, and, well, the bartender is a prick, so I'm going off a little off track. I stumbled my way to Carrie's house and tried to confront her in a drunken state. Her parents weren't home, so she was alone. I got in, confronted her in a bedroom, and she was surprised to see me. The look of surprise on her face was somewhat of delight, almost. But before I knew it, she was quick, smart, and had hit me over the head with a bat she hid behind her back. I gotta give it to her, she's quick and swift. But I guess I was a little bit, off the rails, considering my intentions coming there with her was not going to be pleasant. I woke up a couple minutes after, getting hit over the head with a bat. I woke up and found myself tied down to a chair in her basement. Or at least that's what I thought. It was a basement at least. But I began to realize that it wasn't her basement, but it was somewhere else. Somewhere far, I could tell. Not in town, at least. There was a lot of trees, so I assumed we were in the forest next to her house. I began to look around, observing my surroundings, but to no avail. There was no exit. At least not if I could see. I could see the trees through the windows, but the windows were bolted shut, considering there's bars on them. So, throw that out the window, I guess. Carrie was behind me, and when she realized that I was awoke, she told me, "You're awake. It's good to see you." Good to see you? That's all she could say to me. Say nothing of a sorry or apologetic. Just happy and cheerful, like we're good old friends from the past. The audacity of her. It really does make me wish that I could just wrap my hands around her. I can't. I couldn't anyways, considering my hands were tied down to the chair. I had to listen to her crazy ranting about how she loved me and how she was doing this for us. Us. Destroying my life and creating this false lie was for us? How dare she? Hearing these words just showed how delusional she had gotten. It didn't help that the fact that, well, the entire town thought I was freaking insane or just making all of this up just to start a fuss, to make her look like the villain and me the victim, when they really believed that I was the villain and they truly believed she was the victim in all this. I could feel my rage begin to boil to the top as she ranted on and on and on. it really didn't help much that I was tied down, so I couldn't really do anything to get her or get myself out of the situation. But I began to think and just allowed her to go on and on with the rant. Honestly, it sickens me just writing this down in this stupid journal that I made. I can't even really think. I'm trying to remember some pieces, but it's kind of a little haze. I just wish that things did turn out a little bit differently, and they did. I guess. I guess we can't all get what we want, huh? But I guess I'll cut it short here for now. I don't want to spoil everything just yet. I guess leaving it off of a kidnapping of me is a lot more better ending. A cliffhanger, just a little bit. I'll continue more with my journal tomorrow, I guess. That's if anything else happens, that is. My name is Ben. This is, well, the fourth part of my nightmare with Carrie. Where did I leave off on this? Yes, Carrie. Carrie, well, kidnapped me. I know, a very insane way to start off the fourth part, but hey, it is the truth. I tell nothing but the truth. I pretty much have to at this point, considering what happened is... Carrie held me hostage. I was livid, angry that she captured me, angry that she went on this rant about how she loved me, angry that she was doing this to me. Angry that my life went upside down all because of one single girl. Not many girls, just one. It's crazy how one person can just change your life by the flick of her finger. I wanted to just... But I can't. I can't kill her. I kept telling myself sitting in that chair, I can't go down for what she's put me through. I won't let her win this. But... Fate decided to tell me otherwise. There was nothing else. Nothing that could stop this. I had no choice. I got out of my restraints when she went upstairs. She came back, of course. And I waited for her. The right time to, well, strike. I had a pocket knife in my shoe that she didn't know about, and I stabbed her in the jugular. There was so much blood. So much coming out of her little tiny neck. And I was so glad when I saw her life drain from her eyes. I mean, who wouldn't feel so free and liberated after a psychopath like that? You know, a few call me crazy, but I'm not crazy. I'm just angry. An angry person. She's ticked off to the very edge of the corner, to the very edge of the cliff. It's expecting me to just jump off, but no. Never back a wild animal into a corner. If you do, they'll lash out, and when they lash out, it won't be pretty. I wasn't going to let her do any more harm to me, or to my family. I needed to get rid of her completely. She's gone now. There's nothing she can do to me. She's gone. At least I think. I don't know. I did stab her in the jugular. No one will tell me, but I wasn't too quick to see what happened to her, so I don't know if she's alive or dead. No one will tell me, but I like to think she's gone. After I stabbed her in the neck, I took her body and buried her. I thought maybe I could at least give her a proper burial. I mean, she didn't kill me or harm me or anything, so I guess I owed her that much. Well, except for the part for the baseball against the head, of course. I just wanted this nightmare to be over, to forget about her, erase her existence from this town, and everyone for just move on and forget her. Her father, the sheriff, didn't think so. He questioned me, of course, the first one to come to. He was a little bit attackative. He tried to get me to confess, of course, but I did not confess to anything. I told him that I wouldn't. I told him I had nothing to do with it, but of course he didn't believe me. Well, of course he really wouldn't believe me, considering that's Daddy's girl, and Daddy's girl is so darn innocent. She had the whole town believing that I assaulted her. Even her daddy thinks so. I just want her gone, out of my life completely, and she is gone. At least that's what I thought. I thought killing her would make things better, but it didn't make anything better. It just made things more worse than it was. Things got a little bit crazy over a couple of weeks. Carrie was missing. Nobody reported. No blood trails, nothing. Nothing was found. Nothing except for a simple fingerprint. Gosh darn it. That stupid fingerprint. You know, I thought that fingerprint would be my downfall, but it somehow wasn't. You want to know the kicker about it? It's apparently Carrie's fingerprint, but in blood. When I heard about the fingerprint, I thought it was over for me, but it was Carrie's. It was her. She had left the fingerprints on the weapon that I forgot to get rid of. The bat, of course. She just didn't take into consideration of what that could mean if I was to go missing. Carrie may be smart, but she is dumb. Slow, if I should say. I don't want to be rude, but Carrie won't be bothering me anymore. She won't be bothering anyone anymore, considering she's gone now. In the deep pits of... Well, I don't want to say that, of course. I don't wish that upon anyone, but for her, I do. I shouldn't be getting angry like that, but, she deserved it, of course. Things got a lot more crazy over the week when I got people coming to my door, knocking, and trying to get answers out of me. Reporters, of course, tried to get, a good story here and there. Even some from New York City and LA came to my small little town and decided to try to get answers out of me. I cannot stand reporters. They ask so many questions, and then every time you answer one, they hit you with another question that's impossible to answer. They always never quit. It doesn't matter what answer you give them, they'll come to the conclusion themselves. If you don't talk to them, then they'll come to it themselves and just say that you did it. If you do talk to them, they'll say you did it. There's just nothing you can say or do to get these reporters to believe your story. But, of course, I did have a little bit of help with one reporter. She was nice and kind and sweet, and then I took a little bit of an attraction towards her, and she took one towards me. Well, of course, my attraction towards her wasn't real. I just needed her to just tell everyone that nothing happened between me and Carrie, that Carrie's assault was lies, and I did not, do anything to her. She believed me, of course. She is quite a stupid one, to say the least. She isn't the best reporter. I don't even know how she landed the job. But it was easy to convince her. She got most reporters to believe me, but some were wary of the claims. Some didn't really believe her, and some still tried to pursue the story. It doesn't matter whether you're innocent or not. They just won't something to make you be the bad guy in all of it. But how was I the bad guy in any of this? She led me to this. She made me do this. She made me kill her. She made me do this. It was all her fault. She didn't need to mess with my family. She didn't need to mess with me. And I just... Okay. Relax, Ben, relax. I eventually got called into questioning by the police, and well, that kind of went a little bit awry. I guess it doesn't matter what I say or do to the cops. They just assume things. Assume. Hello there. My name is Sheriff Riley. This is a tape recording of an interview I have with Ben Freely. Go on, Ben. May I ask where you were on the night of 17 in April? Well, I was, at home with my baby sister, babysitting her for the night while my parents were out. Is that so? Your sister, I do have to ask, was a little bit hesitant to ask that question. Well, to answer it, I mean. Oh, she's just shy when she meets new people. Trust me, she's just a little sweetheart, that's all. So are you sure that nothing occurred in that night? Oh, I'm sure. The detective, you mean sheriff, right? Yes, sheriff, I'm sorry. I just had an interview with a detective earlier, and, well, I'm a little bit shaken up of how they're questioning me. That's an interesting word to say, but okay. I do have to ask, what is your previous involvement with Carrie? Well, me and Carrie used to date, and I can't say I was surprised when it didn't work out. Why do you say that? Well, she was a little bit controlling. Just a little bit. No offense, Sheriff, to your daughter, but she kind of wasn't all the way there, I guess. She made stories and made lies about me assaulting her, which turned the whole town against me. I didn't really take too kindly to that, but I would never hurt her or anything. Are you sure about that, son? I'm positive. I don't know. You're a little too close to this case, and considering that you are, well, a little bit off the edge a couple months ago, it's surprising to see how better you are, considering after Carrie's disappearance and everything. Sheriff, are you really thinking that I did something to Carrie? Well, that depends, son, on whether you tell us the truth or not. I'm telling you the truth, Sheriff. I wouldn't lie to you. Okay? Carrie was just off. End of story. The sheriff really thinks he could back me into a corner. I barely got away with that interview. I barely can answer the questions. I can't falter the way that I did in that interview. I have to keep my head up. Keep looking innocent and don't freaking spill the beans. But of course, considering that I'm documenting all this, I'm pretty sure you know what happens next. Those who were involved anyways. Those who watch the news anyways. A couple months passed and I thought I was in the clear, but of course. See, in the end, you always get caught, some way or another. It's always something that you forget, something you leave behind. Even in death, Carrie's still a colossal pain in my rear end. But it doesn't matter. I don't care if I get caught. As long as she's dead, I'm happy with that. What am I saying? I sound crazy after all. But I'm not. I have every right to be disgusted of her. After everything she's done, of course. It's truly sad to see someone like her go. just walking to the streets all alone at night, robbed, mugged, just brutally stabbed in her neck, robbed of her jewelry and money. It was truly a sad, terrible tragedy. When they found her body, I can't say I was surprised, but my story did work. They assumed she got mugged considering a lot of her jewelry and her wallet and ID card was missing. I made sure to burn all of that, of course. I wasn't going to keep any of it. I'm not a Joe Goldberg kind of guy, but it would be nice to keep a treasure or a trophy of some kind. But I didn't, of course. Can't have anything leaking back to me. Not even a credit card. Not a piece of jewelry, not a single. I just needed her to be gone. Out of my life forever. But of course, something just goes wrong. Something always goes wrong when you don't make sure to clean up the mess properly. The knife. The knife was recovered. I'm not sure how. I thought I got rid of that darn thing, but somehow someone found it. It had my fingerprints all over it and with Carrie's DNA on it. I was arrested that same night. My arrest spread through the nation like wildfire. A psycho man freaking accused of murdering a poor innocent schoolgirl. All because, he couldn't have her. And he was crazy about her. Assaulted her. Even tried to hurt her. Manipulated the public. The freaking reporters, even. It's truly disgusting of how one thing can lead to another. Terrible, terrible. My family's look on their faces as they saw me go into the cop car is something I'm never gonna forget. The disgusted and frightening look on my little sister's face is something I'll carry away for the rest of my life in prison. I wanted to tell Susan that I was sorry. That it just happened, but I know she'll never look at me the same way again. None of them will look at me the same way again. So here I am, sitting in my cell, writing this story. You wanna know what makes it worse? It wasn't just, the arrest. The trial was worse. I had to go through multiple trials of just sitting there and trying to explain and defend myself. I even went as far as to literally defend myself in court. Bad news never do that. It's never a good thing anyways. Bundy tried it and look where it got him. I couldn't take it anymore. The way those freaking people in that stand talked about how disgusting I was and how much I tortured Carrie. They didn't know the truth. They didn't know anything. They all looked at me like I was insane. Maybe I was insane, but I'm insane enough to let that girl live another second longer. It's alright though. It's okay, I try to tell myself. Nothing can always go the way you want it to. I guess I had to learn that the hard way. Carrie's rolling in her grave right now. I bet. Even in hell, she's laughing at me. It's this truly disgusting of how she can get away with anything, even when she's dead. The truth won't come out. No one knows but me. And except for her little friend she sent to stalk me. I saw her little friend at the trial smirking at me. I wanted to get up and grab her by the neck and snap it, but I didn't want to go to jail for a second murder. But it wouldn't matter anyways if I killed her or not. I was handed the cruelest punishment of all. Not a couple years in jail, not even a life sentence. I was given the death penalty. Death. Death for a girl who went and destroyed my life, made me look like a fool in front of everyone, and is now even going to succeed at taking my life and make me join her in the afterlife. I sit in my cell every day, every week, every month, every year, awaiting the chair to feel the electricity course through my body as I begin to burn up from the inside out, as I can feel myself to cook within the iron bars. The people staring at me in chairs through a glass window, watching my life slowly fade out of existence as I begin to wonder to myself, where did I go wrong? How did I let her win? It's truly a tragedy. It doesn't matter, of course. I still found a way to win. I think. I don't know, maybe Carrie won. It doesn't really matter. But I killed her, that's all that matters. She can't do this to anyone else. This is just to be sent out to the press, of course, this document. I hope it doesn't get stacked on a bunch of papers just like they usually do. This needs to be publicly known. That my crimes and my actions were all justified. And to know the truth of what really happened. Most people won't believe me, but I hope some do and take this into consideration. If you are with someone like Carrie, it's best to leave them. Trust me, if you don't, who knows what type of situation you'll end up in. I know a lot of people might try to take my sad sob story and think that I'm just trying to twistify and use the justice system to just justify my twisted morality, but you're wrong. I'm not saying this for clout. I'm not saying this for anything. I'm saying this because my life was destroyed, but not by a monster, not by a psychopath with a freaking butcher's knife, and not by an undead zombie trying to attack me. No, by a sick, twisted girl who destroyed everything I cared about. It's truly makes me sick. My execution is tomorrow. Tomorrow morning at 7 o'clock. It's something, of course, something that I've longed for a while. I'd rather die than sit another second in this darn cell. All the people I could hear outside cheering my death like this is the freaking... Okay. I might as well get ready and end this short. To my family and friends, I am truly sorry that you have to bear this burden for the rest of your lives. It's not what I wish, of course. I just wish things did turn out differently. If I could turn back time, I would. And to you, Carrie, I hope you burn for eternity. Because when I join you, I'm gonna make sure to make it more painful as possible. And I will relish in your screams as you begin to wonder and begin to beg me to stop. I guess that's it. Ben Freely was executed earlier this morning at 7 o'clock a.m. on the dime. This document is the last remaining known document of Ben Freely. Other tape recordings and interviews will be stationed in police evidence. This document as well. But as a final request of him, in his will, that this document will be shown to people on the news and accessible to online. But for the time being, it will be placed in evidence, for where it cannot be touched, until it is time to free its reveals and secrets. This is Sheriff Riley signing off.